Batting seventh, playing left field, number 11, Laney Crawford.
What's going on, everybody? Thank y'all so much for joining us here at Chad's Media for Game 2 of this three-game set between Sulphur Springs and Whitehouse. We are almost ready to go, ladies and gentlemen. We have the starting lineups being announced, and we are about to have the national anthem. But after that, we'll bring you all the action.
Ladies and gentlemen, at this time, we ask that you please rise and remove your hats as we honor America with the playing of our national anthem.
And ladies and gentlemen, we are back again. Thank y'all so much for joining us here on Chad's Media. I'm Tyler Lennon, and for those of you that watched Game 1, you may know that I was alone. It was a solo broadcast. That is not the case here tonight. I have a partner. Who's here with me?
Let's say my name is Jeremy DeLorge, and I'm the boys golf coach here at Sulphur Springs High School.
Yes, sir. Not only that, but also a little experience with this softball team, right?
Oh, yeah. Let's say my first year here 4 years ago, whenever me and my wife moved here, I was actually hired on as the assistant girls basketball, and I also helped out with softball. So a couple of these seniors I got to be out on the diamond with and have some fun experience with and it's glad to be back, and being on this side it's gonna be a lot of fun.
We're happy to have you here, and for those of you watching, you might notice a few things are different. We've got a scoreboard, and what is that at the bottom of the screen? We've got some sponsors. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to be telling you more about them throughout the course of the night, but we do want to say huge thank you to our sponsors, Chick-fil-A, Double M Contractors, Hopkins County Abstract, and Madison Insurance Agency. Like I said, throughout the course of the night, we'll be telling you more about them and thanking them every chance we get, but we are about ready for first pitch. So, ladies and gentlemen, as you can tell, we're outside tonight. Usually we're in the press box. If there are any issues with audio, with video, anything like that, as always, please be active in that chat. We're ready to get going, ladies and gentlemen. We have Jaden Harper at the plate, and we are almost ready for first pitch. It's Grace Ann McDonald on the mound again, and she was in Game 1. And Harper takes a called strike one. Jeremy, it feels like we saw this Lady Cats team, although they didn't score a ton of runs, they had that fifth inning in which they scored 3. They were making great contact the entire night.
Yeah, that's it. We definitely saw some hard hits. As we were talking about earlier on the way here tonight, there was just a bunch of hard hits. Just happened to be right to some Whitehouse players, and also some pretty spectacular grabs from the outfield as well, too.
Right. Saw a great double play on a very hard line drive hit by Paris Pickett.
Yes.
Harper takes a pitch. The count will be 1-1. Harper actually had an RBI double in the bottom of the fifth last game. Made the score 3-0. She sends one on the ground there over to short. It's going to be close, and she does beat it out. And I would assume that's going to be counted as an infield single.
Yes, I say that was definitely a hard play right there. So I would definitely say that would probably be definitely a hit, not an error.
Now batting number 20, Reese Reagan.
And just like that, like we said, we already have our first hit of the night, a single from Jaden Harper that'll bring up Reese Reagan. Reese was 0 for 3 last game, but again, made some great contact along the way. Shows bunt, tries to get it down, but not quite able to do so as it goes foul. 0-1 to count to Reagan. Nobody out, and Harper on first. Obviously, Addison Cadell on deck. And another foul ball. So very quickly, it'll be 0-2. Again, thank y'all so much for joining us here tonight. We see some people, looks like, starting to hop in here with us. Again, as always, as last time, any issues with audio, we're kind of outside, so might be a little different than if we were in a press box setting or with the video. We'll need to be updating that along the way, so please let us know in the chat. Y'all are always helpful. Usually Jeremy's the one that is helpful in the chat. Of course, that's not going to help us out tonight.
No, let's say I'm glad to be on the mic with Mr. Tyler Lennon, so.
Good either. That's a tough pitch to take on 1-2.
Mm-hmm. I said I was pretty close to the letters. I was surprised that she hung off on that.
Yeah, usually at 0-2 count, that might be a pitch that you kind of have to go for, even though you wouldn't earlier in the count.
Yep.
And the 1-2. She sends that one well into left, and it's going to get down. It is fair off the wall. It's going to be at least a double for Reagan. Harper going to slow up at third. So just like that, 2 batters into this game, runners on second and third, no outs.
That was a huge hit. This is what we were just talking about from game 1, where we had a bunch of hard hits. They just were in the wrong spots for us, the right spots for Whitehouse. So far through first 2 batters, we're getting hard hits. Actions are good spots. So that's a good change pace for this game too.
Yeah, absolutely. It's like you mentioned, you and I mentioned on the way up here, you know, you keep making good contact like that, and it's going to fall. Good things are going to happen.
Exactly.
And that brings up Addison Cadell. Addison was 0-for-3 last game, but had 3 of the hardest hits of the game. She had 2 really hard lineouts to center and then another one to second. Makes good contact there. Sent over to short. Harper is going to come in to score, and just like that, Lady Cats have a 1-0 lead and a runner on third with just the 1 out. Again, Addison Cadell, no hits in this series yet, but continues to make contact and make things happen.
I'll say that's a really good RBI and great base awareness, base path awareness. That was so huge to see, holding off on with Jaden and Reese. So that was very nice to see.
And that'll bring up Crimson Bryant. She was 1-for-3 last game, and she reached on an error, so she did get on base in 2 of her 3 at bats. Takes a high called strike there. Oh, 1 the count. 1 out and a runner on third. Bryant sends that one on the ground over at short. Tough play to make, and that will be an infield single, though Reagan will have to stay at first. So runners on the corners, just 1 out. And again, we're going to sound like broken records, but just continuing to make good contact.
Oh, yeah. I say they definitely seem to have this pitcher's number, and if we can keep this up, I think we're going to have a really good game on our hands.
I think so as well.
32 runner at first base, number 15, Emerson Thompson. Now batting, number 7, Paris Pickett.
So I don't know if y'all are able to hear that, but Emerson Thompson, the runner on first, Paris Pickett up to bat. She was 1-for-3 the other night. She's actually the one that started that rally in the bottom of the 5th to get things started. She takes the strike there, but Thompson able to move up to second. So now both runners in scoring position, just the 1 out. Of course, behind Pickett, you have Smallwood, and those 2 back-to-back in your lineup are very dangerous.
Oh, definitely very, very dangerous. I say we've seen throughout this year that Paris has the power that she can definitely knock in a ton of runs at any time.
That's going to be foul. Like you mentioned, it was the final regular season game of the year at Pine Tree, and I had a conversation with her in between games. She had a couple games where she wasn't hitting as well as she would like, and she's like, yeah, you know, hopefully I'll get started soon. Very next at bat she had sent one a solo shot. At least she had 2 hits that night as well.
So she definitely always has that kind of power at any time in her swing. She's had that even as a freshman, and love to see it just grow as a senior now.
The 0-2 that gets through. It's going to be another run as Thompson holds up at third. Pickett holds up at first. So now Lady Cats, just like that, are up 2-0. Runners on the corners, 1 out for Ken Smallwood.
So yeah, that was definitely another hard shot down third base line. That was just like what we talked about. Paris has that power at any time, and it was just a perfectly placed shot right down the third base line to score another run.
It was, and just like that, Whitehouse is going to go ahead and take a mound visit, not a bad idea here. Jeremy, if you're the Whitehouse coach, what are you saying in a mound visit like this?
I mean, honestly, I would be alluding to game one. Yeah, they did give up a lot of hard hits, but they were able to make some really, really good defensive plays. Right now, it's just settling down that pitcher in a do-or-die game. You just got to settle those nerves down and say, hey, you pitched good game one. You only gave up 1 inning worth of runs.
Right.
And just kind of get back to what you were doing in game one at Sulphur Springs. We're home now. You got this home crowd behind you, so just feed off their energy and just settle on those nerves and start putting in some good pitches. Their defense can make plays, as we saw in game one. So it's just put good pitches in good spots and trust your defense behind you. They got your back. That's why they're there.
Which, to your point, you know, she went the full, I guess, 6 innings because they were the away team. But 6 innings, 3 runs, that is literally not only a quality start, but again, it's not like they were spread out throughout the course of the night. It was just that 1 inning in which you allowed all those runs.
Exactly.
And, of course, she's doing it perfectly. About the same thing here, just letting them put the ball in play and letting trusting your defense behind you.
Oh, yeah. And
as you alluded to, it's been a good defense.
Oh, yeah. It really has. It's just right now, so far, through the first few batters, they've hit some hard gaps that had just gotten through, and it's been a benefit for us. So, obviously, I'm not shedding any tears over that, though.
The 1-0 to Smallwood is sent down to their baseline foul. As you mentioned, Paris does steal second. So, again, both runners in scoring position, just the 1 out. You have first base open and Nicole Higgins on deck. I didn't get to mention Ken Smallwood actually led the offense the other night. She was 2 for 3, and she did have a run scored. She had the first hit of the night, which came in the bottom of the second, and then another in the bottom of the fifth when the Lady Cats had that big rally. The 1-1, and that's sent hard into center field. That's going to get into the gap all the way to the wall. Both runs score. Smallwood getting to the second standing. Just like that, Lady Cats now have a 4-0 lead, Jeremy, with just 1 out recorded.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, we're definitely sounding like some broken records right now, but that was another hard hit ball just perfectly in the gap to where no one can make a play on it. And that's what this team is very capable of doing. We've seen that throughout the year, that when they're on offensively, they are hard to stop.
They really are. And again, it seems like even on the nights where they only score 2 or 3 runs, it's very rarely, a lot of strikeouts or things like that. I mean, you're usually putting the ball in play, as that brings up Nicole Higgins. Just a bit late on that one. Higgins was 0 for 3 the other night, but she actually reached on an error in the bottom of the fifth, and I have issue with this. It was ruled an error, but it was a very hard hit ball. The second baseman got a glove on it, and I think that's why it was ruled an error, but I'm not sure that shouldn't have been ruled a single.
Yeah, no, I say there's definitely some times where with those hard hit balls where it's kind of a touch and go for whoever's keeping the scorebook. But I mean, like you said, I would agree with you that would be hard to rule an error when it was hit that hard in that spot. So I definitely agree with you that might not have ruled that one an error.
And look at that, ladies and gentlemen. I don't know if you're noticing that at the top corner of your screen, but we have a scoreboard now, and it is updated. 4-0 Lady Cats. New additions as well as the sponsors at the bottom of the screen. Hopefully, the viewers, let us know in the chat if you are liking the new look of this game as Higgins took, making the count 1 and 2. And again, a hard hit ball. This one between first and second. Get into right, 1-run scores. Smallwood going to hold up at third, but Higgins advances to second. And once again, runners in scoring position, 1 out. Just an awesome start so far.
I say that you could not have written up a better start for these SS Lady Cats tonight.
And that brings up Velasquez. Velasquez, 1 for 2 the other night, but she had that 2-run single, which actually got the scoring started. Pops that one up close to the Lady Cats dugout, and there is an out. So it'll be the second out of the inning, and that brings up Tia Nash, the 9-hole hitter in this lineup. You have batted through.
Like I said, like I just mentioned right before that bat, this could not have been a more perfect start for our SS Lady Cats tonight.
Absolutely, and we haven't even gotten to talk about what that means for you with your pitching. And we will get to that in just a second, but a 4-run lead for this Lady Cats pitching staff. And it's going to be more than that. Nash gets that one down. Smallwood scores. Higgins comes to the plate, play at the plate, and she is safe. Nash up to second. That makes it a 6-0 lead for the Lady Cats. A 2-out double from Tia Nash to bring in both Smallwood and Higgins.
That was definitely one of the softest hit balls we've seen tonight, though.
Right.
So, and we still were able to score 2 off that.
Making it 6-0. And I was just about to ask, obviously, it's not an official mound visit, just a team talking, but I was going to ask you, if you're a coach, what can you even do at this point? You've already taken a mound visit. You've already done, what you feel like you needed to do at that point.
And at this point, you almost have to you have to weather the storm. I mean, at some point, as a player, you have to know how to battle through. I mean, just for future as well too. This could be a good learning because I mean we're still very early in this game, so anything can happen. Let's say anything can definitely happen. So you just gotta battle through and make some good pitches and hope that everything gets settled down.
And that brings us back to the top of the order. Jaden Harper, she kicked things off with an infield single. And she's going to stay perfect on the night. There's another one. Nash rounding third. She's going home. And she is going to come in and score. Harper moves up to second. 7-0 here in the top of the first. Jaden Harper now 2 for 2 on the night.
That coach is just getting after her outfield. I will say her outfield has been playing rather deep so far, but I mean at the same time, you can't get too upset with them because look at how many hard hit balls that we've had tonight. I mean, any of those can get over those outfielders' head, which we did see down third base line.
Right, yeah. We did see a couple.
So they know to play a little bit deep, but at the same time, some of those balls are dropping shallow in the outfield. But that's where it's hard because you do have a lot of power in this Lady Cat lineup. So if you play too far up, then you can get burned on a deep ball, and that's the last thing you want as an outfielder.
I agree. This brings up Reese Reagan. Reagan doubled her first time. She takes a called strike 2. Another double obviously would bring in Harper. If she can extend the inning, it'd bring up Addison Cadell. Cadell grounded out, but it did bring in a run. I know McDonald would love to get out of the inning here if she could. And the 0-2. That one sent on the ground over to third, fielded cleanly, takes her time. And Reagan beats it out, and Harper comes in to score. Jeremy, I understand wanting to take your time, make sure you get the throw, but
that was definitely a slow progression on that third baseman. I mean, the thing is, I mean, it doesn't matter. These base paths, the bases aren't very far. So I mean, if you wait too long to make a play, then you're giving somebody a chance to beat out your throw.
Right.
You got to get it out.
Jeremy, we started this broadcast just seconds before the first pitch, and we are 17 minutes into this broadcast.
This has been a long half inning for this pitcher.
A 6:30 start time. It is now 6:48. Oh, and 1 the count to Cadell. And a good eye. Cadell, every time we are on this broadcast, I mention how smart of a player she is, but especially, we're watching her bat right now. Such a great eye. It's because the kind of thing when she takes, I assume it is the ball.
Yes, that is one thing that is hard to teach is that plate discipline, because especially as a high school athlete, you want to, especially with the inning like we've had right now, you want to just keep adding and adding.
It'd be really easy to just jump on the first pitch, whatever it is.
And she is so disciplined, and saw it as a freshman, and she's just been getting better and better every single year.
The 2-1. And that is called a strike. Make the count. 2-2. 2 outs. Reagan the runner on first. And Bryant would be next. Even on the pitches Cadell takes, as someone who's very nerdy about hitting, the only reason why I got to play after high school was how much I studied hitting. You watch her swing, even on her takes, it's, she's going through the motions perfectly. She fouls that one back. Again, y'all be active in the chat, please. Anything that we can do with the video or the audio. We sound good in our own headphones, and the audio levels look good, but, of course, we can't hear the way that y'all would. She sends that one on the ground over to short, fielded cleanly, a bit quicker this time, and that will be the third out of the inning. Jeremy, 8 runs on 9 hits in the top of the first. Lady Cats lead 8-0.
That was a phenomenal bottom of the first inning, or top of the first inning, I should say. Sorry, that was phenomenal. You could not have asked for a better start. That was absolutely amazing to see. We batted through the lineup. We lapped a couple people there too. So get a couple at bats early under your belt. You know what the pitcher's throwing, know what they're kind of feeling. Now let's get this amazing Lady Cat defense with Crimson Bryant out there on the circle.
Absolutely. Ladies and gentlemen, we mentioned we have some new sponsors on the broadcast tonight. Again, we're going to be telling you about them throughout the course of the night. Chick-fil-A, Double M Contractors, Hopkins County Abstract, Madison Insurance Agency, and now feels like a good time. I have to ask, one of my favorite things about broadcasting the way that we do is how active the chat is. It's time to hear from the chat. Chick-fil-A, what's your go-to order? Jeremy, let's start with you. I'll be honest with you. It's supper time, but we didn't get to eat. We're here at the game. I think that's where we're going to be going tonight.
Oh, hey, I am never disappointed in Chick-fil-A. I say I'm a big foodie. I absolutely love my food. I eat a lot of food, and so my go-to is probably their spicy chicken sandwich. Throw a piece of pepper jack cheese on it, and get that meal with a big sweet tea. They have some of the best sweet tea in Sulphur Springs, in my opinion. And then, like I said, I like food, so I eat a lot of food. So you throw another 8 count on top of that, too.
Oh, nice.
And you get the best of both worlds. You get the nuggets and the sandwich.
So we'll say this will sound like a boring answer, but not boring, but obviously you'd like more parody probably, but that's exactly what I'm doing. That Spicy Deluxe, man. You cannot beat Spicy Deluxe and the waffle fries. Okay, before we get started in this bottom of the first, your favorite sauce? I think Chick-fil-A sauce is obviously the safe answer here.
It is, but I will say their barbecue sauce, it's really good. It's a lot better. It's a lot better than most barbecue sauces at some places. And so I will say their barbecue sauce is probably my favorite sauce there.
And first pitch of the night for Crimson Bryant just misses outside. Crimson was excellent Wednesday night. She went the full 7 innings, allowed just 1 hit, 3 walks. She struck out 16. But the thing that I haven't really seen be mentioned, and of course I'm the writer here, I guess it would be my job to mention it, but the 1 hit she allowed was a bunt single in the top of the 6th. She had a no-hitter until the top of the 6th, and it was a bunt single, which she fielded cleanly, just the runner happened to beat it out.
Yeah, that's what we talked about a little while ago from when Whitehouse third baseman kind of just took it a little bit longer. But if you get there's another strike, that's awesome. Keep it up, Crimson. Say you got a 1-2 count now. But that's what we talked about. I mean, especially if you get a quick runner and you hold that ball just a little bit too long, it gives them plenty of opportunity to beat out your throw. And unfortunately, that's what happened to lose her no-hitter.
Yeah, and that one, it was a really good bunt. I remember it was placed kind of perfectly between Crimson and Addison trying to field it. Crimson was the one who fielded it, and I thought she did a good job with it. Just like you said, I mean, you get a speedy runner. These bases are close enough that if you can get it down perfectly, I mean, you can beat that out.
And especially in softball, if you get a lefty that's a slap hitter.
Speaking of, Paris Pickett makes a great play there. First out of the night. That was, like you said, slap hitter, and she made good contact with it. A tough play for Paris there.
Oh yeah, I say backpedaling and having to make sure that you don't trip. Because I will say that is also one thing that is different. I mean, for our Lady Cats to kind of get used to. I mean, they do play at some fields that are turf, but I mean, when you're at home and practicing all the time in dirt, you get kind of used to feeling that dirt under your feet. So backpedaling on some turf is a little bit different, and she played that perfectly.
And that one misses just a bit high. I have to ask, as a former member of this coaching staff, what really can you do about that? You know you're going to a place with a turf field. There's really not a way to replicate that.
There really isn't. I mean, the ball bounces differently. It skips a little bit more. If it's a hard ground ball, it skips on you, and it gets on you real quick. The best thing that you can do is just, hey girls, you just know that it's going to react. The ball's going to react a little bit differently out here.
Right.
So you just gotta go in that mentally. Get out here.
And again, trying to show bunt, not able to do so, fouled off. I got really lucky. I was an outfielder, so that didn't really affect me much.
Yeah. So I mean, you get out here early enough. You do your pregame warm-ups. You hit grounders. You field it to where the coaches, as you're hitting grounders to those infields, you try and mimic some of those hard ground balls where they maybe skip on you.
That one just missed being strike 3, just a tad high. 2-2 the count, 1 out, nobody on. And the 2-2. Just a bit high. Crimson Bryant, a very smooth, very quick delivery. Speaking of, Jeremy, I don't know if you're interested in smooth, quick deliveries, but starting Monday, Chick-fil-A is introducing Chick-fil-A delivery.
As a teacher at the high school, I will be taking advantage of that.
I think most of our viewers right now will be. And there is the first base runner of the night for Whitehouse. It is a 1-out walk from Bryant. She allowed 3 the other night. She actually did walk the leadoff batter in Wednesday night's game and then retired, I believe, the next 12 batters she faced. I will say, very, very, very few flaws in Crimson's game, but if there is one, just every now and then the command, I feel like, a little bit. But I wonder, and you can answer this for me, is it even command or is it just her knowing her own ability and just trying to get people to chase, trying to hit the outside corners?
It honestly, I will say,
as a stolen base, we put Whitehouse in scoring position for the first time tonight.
I will say she can get some speed, but she is a very spinny pitcher, so she has a lot of movement on her ball. So there are a lot of times that she might get a little bit too much movement on the spot that she's trying to hit. But like you said, I feel like she does try to get some batters to chase a little bit too.
And that one's fouled back, even at the count 1-1. Again, though, I said it as if it were a huge problem. I mean, she walked 3 batters last game, so.
I say her strikeout to walk ratio is through the roof.
16-3 in Wednesday night's game, and as crazy as this is to say, I mean, that's almost on par for what it is for the season. Another foul ball. Velasquez has room and makes the catch. That'll be the second out of the inning. That'll bring up the cleanup hitter, Grace and McDonald, the pitcher for Whitehouse.
And I will say, I love seeing that right there. The awareness, like what we talked about at the plate for Addison, but she also has it on the field. Typically on a pop-up like that, you have your first and third baseman running up to see if they might be able to make a play on it, but she stayed back because there was a runner on second, so she had very good awareness.
Right. As McDonald takes strike 1. Yeah, the awareness to do that. I mean, if she would have, you have to hope at that point that Pickett recognizes that and then can cover the bag. Because if not, like you said, I mean, you have a runner just able to take third at that point.
Exactly. We've seen it many times in pro games. You have the shift on and give up easy bags.
And she fouls that one back, so it's going to be 0-2 the count. Crimson almost always ahead in the count. And I think that's kind of where some of the walks do come from. You get ahead 0-2, 1-2, and then you have some pitches to play with, and before you know it, you know. Ooh. I will say, even though that is a called ball, that's a great 0-2 pitch. Because even if you do make contact, what are you doing with that pitch?
Exactly. I mean, that's one of those things that we talked about. She has that movement, and she knows where to place her pitches just enough to where it might be just enticing enough to where if you try to get a bat on it, it won't be very hard hit.
Right. 1-2 misses just a bit high. Count even. 2-2, 2 outs. To answer your question, Todd, yes, this is a turf field and a very nice one at that. This is a very nice complex. You got the baseball field right over there. This is my few times I've been out here covering games. I always love covering games out here. Since I went hard down the left field line, but foul. And that is something we saw the other night from Whitehouse. It felt like there were a number of times they made really good contact but foul.
Yes, to say there is definitely a few shots. Let's say on some of what it looks like some of Crimson's off speed, they kind of jump on it and they hit it down that third base line a lot. I felt like that's where a lot of the foul balls came in game 1 was down that third base line.
And again, that one hit equally as hard. If you're Crimson or Coach Dorner calling the pitches, you see fouling it this way, does that change your approach at all? You know, maybe try to hit the outside corner or something like that.
I don't know. I mean, with honestly the arsenal that Crimson has, you can almost put it anywhere.
Weak contact made. Bryant fails to throw over to first, and she does get out of the inning unscathed. Just like that. It was a, one-out walk, I believe, but strand the runner on second. And going into the top of the second, Lady Cats will hold on to their 8-0 lead. Like I said, we'll update that scoreboard in just 1 second, but did want to tell y'all more about some of our supporting sponsors. We have Double M Contractors, asphalt maintenance and repair for business or home. Big thank you to Mark and Mason Morton. Both Mark and Mason, former Wildcat baseball players. Mason in the 09-10 years, he was just a little bit older than me. Got to see him play a good bit. Mason, heck of a player, and of course, Mark's niece is the senior shortstop for this team, Paris Pickett.
Oh yeah, let's say they're definitely some very big advocates for this Lady Cat softball team. They're very big supporters. They're at every single game, so we love seeing them out here.
Absolutely. Trying to see where we're at in this Lady Cat order right now. We've got Bryant, Pickett, and Smallwood. The three of them are a combined 3 for 3 with 3 runs batted in so far.
Hey, that is a perfect spot to be at in our lineup right now.
Absolutely. I mean, you know, the 4, 5, 6 are supposed to be the dangerous parts of any order, but this lineup specifically, I mean, Crimson gets all the credit in the world for being an amazing pitcher, which is well deserved, but also a very strong hitter. And again, like we mentioned, to have Pickett and Smallwood right behind her, those are two, I think this season anyway, maybe the best, but probably the most consistent hitters we've seen in this lineup.
Oh yeah, let's say definitely. Let's say, I mean, we saw Crimson with some very timely hits last year in the playoff run that we had, and so she definitely has that capability. Paris as well too. We've mentioned her at bat as well. She has the power at any time in her swing to take it anywhere on the field. And then Kinsley as well too. She has the power, as we've seen a couple home runs for her this year as well.
12, Crimson Bryant.
Absolutely. And again, that brings up Crimson Bryant, her first time singled on a ground ball to short. She had Reagan on third, unable to bring the run in, but did put runners on the corners. Ooh, that's a called strike. That's a tough pitch. But as the pitcher, I think you're thinking, okay, you could call that on me, but give it to me later on.
Exactly. I say that is the perfect way to put it.
To answer your question in the chat, Todd, is there a difference in playing on turf and grass? Yes, there is. It's hard to explain, but turf is supposed to be the most quote-unquote natural bounce you get, but it plays differently. A lot of the time it'll be, you know, higher hops, harder hops. It just plays differently.
I say definitely with turf, because with what's underneath it, it almost, the best way to explain it, it almost sounds like it almost feels like a springboard in a way, whereas like natural grass or dirt will kind of absorb it. It's almost like a springboard that just kind of launches it whenever it's a hard hit or a hard hit.
Almost like a bouncy ball, to an extent, to a much lesser degree.
Yeah.
After taking a couple strikes, Crimson able to work the count back 2-2. And especially after that huge first inning, you come out here and now you're starting to see some pitches, get some deep counts. Ashley will take strike 3. I mean, with 2 strikes on you probably do need to try to, you know, that's a tough pitch though.
Yeah, I say that looked. I say you can definitely tell on her face that she thought it was outside, but it's close enough to where you don't put that in the umpire's hands.
Right.
You definitely put it into your hands. You try and put that bat on the ball with 2 strikes.
I agree. Brings up Paris Pickett. Paris had a RBI single her first time up. Got the ball on the ground, but got into the left. She just takes ball 1 there. Paris Blair, as we've already seen here tonight, not only great offensively, but defensively as well. During that it was not a very long stretch, but just a couple games where she wasn't hitting as well as she wanted. She was making great plays defensively, and she does that. I mean, brings it on both ends for sure.
She definitely does. Say the left side of our infield is probably one of the best left side of our infields that I've seen. Granted, I haven't been here very long, but of my tenure with Addison Cadell and Paris Pickett over there in short and third base,
Right.
that is a very, very good left side of the infield.
Yeah, I can't imagine, not just in this district, not just in this classification. I mean, in the entire state of Texas, I don't know how many better left sides of the infield there are.
No, their softball IQ.
See, that's what I was going to mention. Not just the talent level,
Yeah.
but the IQ to match it.
Their softball IQ is par none, both defensively and in the batter box. They have very high softball IQ.
The 2-1 to Paris. Sends that one hard in the left field. Left fielder running back to the track. And it's gone. A solo shot for Paris Pickett. She is now 2 for 2 on the day with 2 runs batted in. It's going to make it 9-0. And for the second time in the last 3 games now, home runs for Paris Pickett.
And this is just what we talked about. Like at any time, any given swing that she has the power and ability to just put it anywhere on the field or out of the park, like we just saw.
Right. I'm not going to lie. I wanted to, had to make sure it did get out, but off the bat, I almost went ahead and called it a home run. I was like, no, let's make sure it gets out.
Let's say from this angle for a little bit there, it was hanging up in the air for a little bit, but we kept seeing that left fielder just go back and back and back. I was like, I think it's going to go.
And it did. That brings up Ken Small with her first time up. A 2-run double, which made it 4-0. See if they can't keep the bats going. Great first pitch from McDonald there to make it 0-1. I know we sound like broken records, but again, this team not only hits so well for contact, but power as well. And the 0-1. That one sent high into right field. Right fielder coming in and does make a really good catch there for the second out of the inning. Like we've seen, I mean, this Whitehouse defense is solid out there.
Yeah, this is what we were talking about during the mound visit. Just try and hit your spots, because I think that's what it was. Is I think playing at home in a do-or-die game and play off your emotions and adrenaline get kind of the best of you. So you start feeling a little bit erratic and might miss your spots a little bit. But you just got to get settled down and trust your team behind you.
Brings up Nicole Higgins. She had a single her first time up. Also, that one sent hard up the middle. That one gets into center, and it's going to be a 2-out single for Nicole Higgins, making her 2 for 2 on the night. Ooh, to answer your question, unfortunately, it probably is going to be static for now. We would like to get it to where we can move it around some, but for now, unfortunately, outside of brightness and that kind of thing, that's really all we can do for now. And also, shout out to Stacy and her niece, Larkin. Larkin got a ton of shout-outs in Wednesday night's broadcast. Very popular player for Whitehouse. Velasquez sends that one up in the air for the 3rd out of the inning. So just the 1 run on the solo shot from Paris Pickett, but that extends the lead to 9-0, Jeremy.
Yeah, I say that is not as whenever I say this, it wasn't as exciting, but it's still a good half inning for us at bat.
Absolutely.
We were able to still have some hard hits, as we saw from Nicole up the middle, Paris sending it deep. We were able to still get that pitch count up and kind of still put it in Whitehouse head, hey, we still have some power. Even though we put eight up on you early, we're not taking the gas off. We're not taking our foot off the pedal. We're still gonna come out here.
Absolutely. Head into the bottom of the second, 9-0 lead. Another sponsor we want to tell you about, Hopkins County Abstract. And, of course, Kristen Monk at Hopkins County Abstract, another former Lady Cat herself. She was a member of both the softball team and a cheerleader. Mm-hmm. Crimson, even with a 9-0 lead, just has this look of like, let's go. I'm ready to do this. Let's go.
Oh yeah, she is. I say she definitely knows when to lock in and when to have some fun. When she's in the dugout, I will say she definitely will cut up. But when she almost has an animal side in her. When she steps inside that circle, it's game mode. I'm going to get the best of you. You're not going to beat me. A little switch flips when she steps foot in that circle.
I think pitchers in general just have a very different mindset, and even with that being said, even pitchers generally being that way, Crimson, I feel like, just on another level even from there.
She is, definitely.
Pretty boy swag. Going back to the walk-up songs, that's not a bad one.
That's a good one.
Oh, Bryant, Jones, and Crawford, the 3 up for Whitehouse here. Crimson Bryant once again getting ahead in the count, 0-1. Crimson, no strikeouts yet. And that one sent deep into center field, into the gap. It does get down. Harper does get to it quickly, though. That could have very easily been a double if Harper would have gotten there as quickly as she did.
I will say is one of the benefits to having a very quick center fielder. Center field, I mean, when you look at a softball field, it's almost like a squish down version of a baseball field. With that being said, center fielders, just like in baseball, they have to cover a lot of ground, and you definitely want a quick person out there, and Jaden fits that role.
Yeah, not only quick, but also just a great center fielder in terms of the way she gets reads off the bat. As a former outfielder, I'm always really, kind of critiquing, and I thought she did an amazing job on that. Another center fielder lets that get to the wall, and that's a leadoff double. Tries to throw back to first. That one gets into right field, but Smallwood there, and the runner will have to stay at first. So we have a 1-1 count.
I'm saying that is definitely one thing as an outfielder on some of those throws. You got to have your head on the swivel because you never know when it could possibly get past.
Yeah, in a 9-0 game, it'd be really easy to not think to back up that throw. But, of course, Smallwood, great job there.
And that's what I was kind of mentioning, like, when our at-bat, even though we're up 8-0, we're still swinging. We're still going to try and put, don't want to, just.
She fouls that one back. Count will remain 1-2.
So don't want to, run it up. But at the same time, it's still the playoffs. You got more rounds, you got more games coming up, so you still gotta get locked in at every at bat.
Yeah, and I think that first inning, taking as long as it did, it would have been really easy to almost just slow down. You know what I mean? It was a really long inning. You got the lead, and now you just kind of let your foot off the gas, and you could let a team back into it.
Exactly, and that's why I was very happy to see our Lady Cats do what they did at the plate. And then, like you said, on the flip side on defense, it's easy to.
Ooh. Almost the first strikeout for Crimson. She's getting very close, and again, that's a great miss.
Yeah. She definitely knows where to miss and try and get those batters to chase a little bit.
So the 3-2, and fouls that one back.
So going back to that earlier question from Todd, something I just was thinking about was base running is different on turf too.
Oh, very true. She sends that one into center. Harper there to make the grab for the first out of the inning.
I say in the top of the first when Emerson Thompson came in to run, she was rounding third, thinking that she might have had enough time, but Ferrella put the brakes on her. And her footing kind of got out from underneath her, so she had a little bit of a slip. On dirt, when you're used to running on dirt, you got those cleats that will grab. If you look at most of our girls out here today, they're mainly wearing tennis shoes, not cleats.
Very true.
So it's slightly different on base running.
That one gets past Velasquez. Runner will move to second. I do want to mention that was Larkin Jones, the previous player who's gotten a ton of shout-outs in our chat the last couple of games, and she made great contact with that ball just then.
Yep, I say, and the wind is kind of picking up a little bit, so it kind of moved that ball a little bit on Jaden as you saw her kind of moving around a little bit.
Gets the bunt down. Bryant Fields, the throw to first, is in time. Runner does move to third, but there will be 2 outs in the inning. I have to ask, you already have the runner in scoring position with the 1 out. The bunt there, is that more of you're hoping for a bunt single, I feel like, rather than moving the runner to third?
Yeah, I say because as you saw, certain players that were crashing in, hopefully that you get a little bit of confusion on who's fielding it and maybe get runners on the corner. because if you like we talked about, if you do get a quick runner, they might be able to beat that throw out. At that point, you got runners on corners and with one out, and then you got to watch out for potential stolen second base. You got a grounder that can then put runners on corners again, or there's a lot of things that can happen after that.
And as you mentioned, you did have Addison, Reese, and Crimson all there. Luckily, I mean, Crimson stepped up and made the play there.
Yeah, and that goes also to just. I like to talk about coaching as well too, being a former coach of it. That was perfectly done from the infield. You had your corners and the pitcher crashing, but if you saw, you had shortstop and second base both covering the bags,
right,
for anybody to throw to. So that was perfectly positioned on our infield right there.
Absolutely. Crimson once again working our way into a 1-2 count. 2 out and a runner on third. Just to see if she can't get out of here with the shutout still intact. One misses just high. I want to point out, it seems a very common theme you see here, batters in the very, very, very back of that box when facing Crimson.
Oh, yeah, let's say with the amount of movement that she has, and then also, like we talked about with her speed, she can get up there in speed, but her movement, I mean, you want to get into that back of the box where you see the most of it.
Ooh. Just missed inside. Crowd was hoping for a strike 3 there.
I say, if you saw in the bottom right-hand corner of our screen, Coach Dorner definitely was walking out there to congratulate her on that strikeout. So you definitely had a lot of people thinking that was going to be a strikeout.
Absolutely. And here comes the payoff pitch. And there it is. There's the strike 3 she was looking for. Again, in both innings, Crimson has had a runner in scoring position, but was able to get out of it. Lady Cats lead 9-0.
Yep, and like I said, with that, with Crimson, she just has that switch that she can turn on, and that it almost seems like she always can find a next level. So even with her back against the wall in a way with runners in scoring position, she bear down, locks in, and takes that next step to just get that batter out.
Absolutely. I feel like with pitchers, you kind of see one of two things a lot of the time. You either have the over-the-top intense pitcher. I'm thinking of people like Max Scherzer, or you have the ones who are kind of more laid back and goofy. And I feel like Crimson finds a way to take those two things and whatever she needs to be in that moment. You see her kind of being playful. I actually heard a story from Coach Carrillo. He was telling us it was, I believe, in the playoff game last year. I can't remember who they were playing against, but it was in Marshall. And she was kind of in trouble. Bases were loaded. He goes out to speak to her, and it was misting that night. And he's talking to her. He's like, "Are you listening to me?" And she mentions the way the rain looked in the light. And he goes, "Okay." He walked off, and she struck out the side to get out of that inning without allowing a run. It's both, finding the way to be locked in while still loose.
That's what I was talking about. Like she knows when to play around and just have a good time, but then she knows when it's time to just bear down and get the job done. Right. And she does it with a ferocity that honestly I haven't seen from a lot of like high school softball pitchers. I mean, we might see it in college and like Olympics and stuff like that, but but when it comes to high school, it takes a special person to do that, and Crimson Bryant is definitely that. Absolutely.
Almost ready to get started in the top of the third. Before we do, I want to tell you about another one of our sponsors, Madison Insurance Agency, your hometown insurance agency. It's family-owned and operated by Glenn and Matthew Madison. They've got locations in Sulphur Springs, Paris, and Greenville. They've been in business for 20 years this year. That is awesome.
That's a good milestone right there, 20 years.
It is. I wonder if Chad will keep me in this business for 20 years.
You do a great job. I think he will.
If I keep having partners like you, maybe to make me sound better.
You know, I'm always down for that. Whether it's in the chat or on the mic, I'm here for you.
Don't say that, because I will take you up on it. Tia Nash, the batter, to get us started here in the top of the third.
And if I'm not mistaken, wasn't Matthew a baseball player?
He was. He was. We have. That's the kind of thing about Sulphur Springs. You have people that have been around and want to continue to support, the ones behind them.
I will say that is one thing that I've always loved about the Sulphur Springs community. they back their own. They're all in for anything that goes on with Sulphur Springs. And as a coach myself, I'm immensely grateful for that.
Absolutely. Tia fouls that one back. Going to make the count 1-2. Tia singled her first time up, and it was an RBI. She got a line drive into center. Brought in Nicole Higgins. Behind her, you're back to the top of the order already for the third time, just here in the top of the third. Jaden Harper's going to be looking to go 3 for 3. She is 2 for 2 already. Nashton's that one hard up the middle, but a great play by the shortstop. Great throw to get a quick out number 1.
I'm saying Jaden definitely has all the tools to go 3 for 3. I mean, she has speed. She has sneaky power. I think
Okay,
that's the best way to say that.
You say
she has
sneaky.
sneaky power.
You say sneaky. Last year, it wasn't sneaky. It was very obvious. She hit a number of home runs last year.
Whenever I say sneaky, you look at her and go,
right.
This is not a girl that can like pound the ball. Like she can put all of her body into it, and it is fun to watch.
Fouls that one back with the swing she took there. I think if she would have got that one good, we may have seen some of that power you were talking about.
I think so too.
But no, very much a player who hits for both contact and power. And as we've seen in center field, a lot of speed as well.
Mm-hmm.
Truly a triple threat. If I had to compare, almost like a Ricky Henderson type.
Yeah.
Like can hit for power, but don't let them get on base because,
Because, I mean, once they're on base, she has so much speed. She can go from first to third very quickly. And, I mean, we just saw right there, we went from a full swing to a laid-down bunt.
She sends that one in the air into center field. 2 quick outs, and that may be the first. I mean, not maybe. It is the first time we've seen an inning start off with 2 quick outs.
Yes, it is.
That'll bring up Reese Reagan.
That's fun, Reese.
Reese also looking to go 3 for 3 here. She has 1 run scored and 1 RBI. Pair of single. Oh, no. A single and a double, actually. So, got the 2 hard ones out of the way. Now all she needs is a triple and a home run for the cycle.
So the home run could happen right here, though.
And again,
a little underneath that. I think if she would have squared that up, I might have I almost called it at that point.
You know what? That's what we're going to do in the chat. Who are y'all using your home run call on? Obviously, if we could have done this earlier, some of you could have picked Paris. You can still pick Paris. She could very easily hit another one here tonight.
Very easily.
You know what? The bummer of it all, and this is going to sound like, oh, I'm sure, Tyler, but I actually did want to play this game with you. Of course, we got started later than we would have liked to. I was actually going to pick Paris. I promise I literally thought about having this conversation with you. Paris was going to be my home run pick for
that. Honestly would not have been a bad pick with how she's been hitting lately. I think a lot of people would have been picking her.
And that one sent hard into left field. Reagan going to try to turn it into 2. She does. 3 for 3, 2 doubles and a single. Have yourself a night, Reese Reagan.
She is definitely. She's putting the hurt on that ball tonight.
Now, before I go ahead and do it myself, do you want to use your call on Addison?
See, honestly, when you said we're playing the home run pick game, Addison was definitely one that popped in my head. Either her or Smallwood.
Whichever one you take, I'm taking the other. So which one you got?
I got Addison.
Okay. That gives me Smallwood. Let us know in the chat who is your home run pick. We're playing home run derby tonight. Addison fouls that one off. And she has yet to have an at-bat in which she didn't make good contact throughout this series. I believe she's 0 for 5 on the series, but 5 like hard hits.
Yes, and she already has an RBI tonight with knocking in.
Yeah, she scored brought in the first run of the night on an 0-1 count. And y'all, I know I keep saying it, but especially this time of the night is when you're going to need to be active in the chat as far as the video goes. I know once the sun starts setting, we're going to need to start making some changes. So I'm doing the best I can to keep an eye on it. But y'all will see the screen better than I can see the screen, if that makes sense. 0-2 count. 2 outs, runner on second. And she holds off on that one. If she could extend the inning, that would bring up Crimson Bryant. She's 1 for 2 tonight. And actually the only strikeout so far from Sulphur Springs. Little let's go 3-4 chant in the chat there. She takes Ball 2, 2-2.
I'll take that as LaDonna's backing my home run call.
Yes, that is what's happening there.
Me and you.
Again, anybody in the chat, let us know who you've got home run derby. The 2-2. Again, sent very hard up the middle. Unfortunately, going to make her 0 for 6. And it's not only just hard contact. Every single one of them has been up the middle. It's exactly what you would want to do with the pitch that you were given.
Yes, and I mean, if you saw as she was running down the first base line, you saw the frustration. When you're the type of player that Addison is, she does have a lot of grit. When it seems like a lot of things aren't going her way, she still just stays the course because she knows at some point she's going to be due, and
Right.
that's what that little like clap out of frustration once she hit first base. She knows she's getting good contact. It's just like we talked about in game 1. For a lot of times, a lot of our hard hits were just in the bad spots for us, and that kind of goes back to what we've been seeing tonight. Unfortunately for Addison, is that she just is she's getting some really good contact on that ball, just a little bit in the wrong positions for her to get on base.
Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and do my best. I hate to speak on her behalf, but I'm going to put myself in Addison's shoes. You have those moments as a hitter and as a good hitter where you're hitting the ball well, it's just not going your way. The first couple of times, okay, you're analyzing your own at-bats and you're like, hey, I'm doing a good job. Unfortunately, once it's 4, 5, 6 in a row, I don't think it gets to you. I mean, you're just continuing to analyze your at-bats, but like you said, you see there, kind of a smile, you clap your hands like, I'm this close, but it's got to start falling, and it is going to start falling.
Oh yeah, especially for her with the type of player that she is, it's gonna start falling at some point, which is why kind of in a way seeing her recent at bats just not going her way with the type of player that she is, the type of discipline that she has at the plate. She's due for a hit, and it could be a big hit at any moment.
Again, you stole my home run pick, but it wouldn't be surprised if it's not that. We see a foul ball to get us started here in the bottom. I apologize. Bottom of the third. Bottom of the third, brought to you by Chick-fil-A. I know we talked about Chick-fil-A earlier, but there's something we left out. We keep mentioning all these former Wildcats and Lady Cats. Yori Franklin, former Wildcat soccer player. She was actually girls soccer was her very first year, her freshman year, the very first year of the girls soccer team.
Oh, that's awesome.
It is. I know we already mentioned it, but dude, Chick-fil-A delivery?
I know.
It just sounds amazing.
I'm stoked for that. Honestly, I'm so ready for it.
If it were Monday, we could go ahead and have them. You know what? The next home game for the Lady Cats, we might just have to get some delivered to the press box.
I'm fully a go for that.
You'll call games with me some more if we get some Chick-fil-A delivery, huh?
Of course, I say I'll be there for the Chick-fil-A.
Crimson once again at an 0-2 count. Tough take there, but again, great pitch. Just a little bit low, maybe.
Yeah, that might have been just a hair low. It's hard though because as we talked about when Crimson was at bat, it's like, hey, you call that on me, give that to me.
Right.
I feel like that was one of those pitches that he called on Crimson but didn't give it to her. But she came right back with that nice little third strike pitch right there.
There it is, just her second of the night so far, but she is dealing. And we're seeing almost like the exact opposite of what we saw in the first game. In the first game, she did walk a few batters, but it was a ton of strikeouts tonight. Just because the strikeouts aren't as high, that doesn't mean she's not pitching as well. Like, she's pitching, I would say, equally as well, just not getting the strikeout.
Yeah, I think the other thing, I don't want to take anything away from the umps. Umps do an absolutely phenomenal job, but I wonder as a player sometimes when you jump out early on them, if the ump doesn't kind of like give a little to try and.
So I can answer this for you a little bit. I did umpire high school baseball for 3 seasons. Now I did not do softball. Obviously, a little bit of a difference in softball and baseball. I think without realizing that you're doing it, you do kind of do it. Now, in a playoff game, you don't want to, you want to be as good as your job as possible. But I think you do kind of do it without realizing it.
I think it's that subconscious thing, It's
right.
like you said, without realizing that you're doing it, it's like, okay, they jumped out early, and before you know it, you're maybe giving a pitch that you might not have a little bit ago or something like that.
You know, if we went back and counted, and we can obviously do that after the broadcast, but how many times we said that was almost it, or, you know, that strikeout number goes from what is currently 2 to probably 5, 6, maybe?
Easily.
After falling behind in the count 3-0, she does get it back to 3-1. 1 out, nobody on. Jones, the batter, we saw her make good contact the first time up. This one sent over towards the Whitehouse dugout. Tough play for Cadell, but and again, we talk about how good of a fielder she is, how smart of a player she is. A lot of players getting close to the dugout like that, you can't see it. You're trying to feel around for it. It's easy to mess that play up. It might look routine on the camera here, but that is not routine.
Oh, I fully agree with that, but I will say one thing that is nice about this field compared to our home field. With our home, it's all dirt, so you never really know how close you might be getting. Over here, you do have that kind of like grass look, so it's like a warning track in a way, so you kind of have an idea. So it does help out the infielders a little bit on the corners.
True. Yeah, I did not think about that, the all dirt field.
I said all dirt, it kind of just blends in. And even in our outfield out there, it's all grass leading up to the fence, so our outfielders have to be aware of their positioning.
2 quick strikes from Bryant. Once again ahead in the count 0-2.
I think that's why I'm always partial to our players, especially out our field. I mean, most softball fields have that set up, but I give credit to them always knowing where they are on the field and their positioning to where they're not hurting themselves or
Swing and a miss, strike 3. So there is the 3rd strikeout of the night for Crimson. Bryant through 3 innings. You ready for this? Do you want to guess? You might know off the top of your head, but through 3 innings, how many hits, how many walks has she allowed, you think?
For Crimson?
I have this. I'll announce it afterwards. I want to see how close you are.
I say Crimson's given up what, 1, or are you talking about for us or
how many she's allowed? What her line is right now?
I say she has given up 1 walk and 1 hit.
Yes, sir.
And she has what, 3 strikeouts?
Yes.
Yeah.
Anytime your strikeouts are higher than the combination of your walks and hits,
it's phenomenal.
And by the way, the 1 walk and the 1 hit, for anyone wondering, that would be a whip. For anyone that doesn't know what the stat whip is, there's a lot of baseball stats. Some are important, some aren't. I think when looking at pitching, a lot of people go straight to either your win-loss record or your ERA, but I think actually the best representation of how you did or how you're doing is whip, which stands for walks and hits.
I agree.
By innings pitched.
I feel like the whip is more important. Honestly, I think it's more important. I don't want to say more important than the ERA, but I mean,
I'll take it as I will say it's more important.
I would almost say that it would be because, I mean, if you're giving up a bunch of walks and hits, then your ERA obviously is going to go up too.
Exactly. And on the flip side of that, there are pitchers who, maybe you get yourself out of that jam, but if you have a high whip, you could still have that low ERA, but at some point you're going to have to get to your bullpen, especially maybe not quite as much in softball as baseball, just because you can kind of throw more pitches and everything. But again, the more casual fan might not quite understand what we're talking about, but I agree. I think the whip as important, if not even more so.
I agree. I will definitely second that.
Getting ready to start the top of the 4th. It'll be Bryant, Pickett, and Smallwood. So far tonight, Bryant 1 for 2, Pickett 2 for 2, Smallwood 1 for 2. So what is that? 3, 5, 4, 6. Now I'm bad at math. That's 4 for 6. How many times per broadcast do I have to say I'm bad at math? This is why I get paid to write, ladies and gentlemen.
Well, then I shouldn't say that I'm a math teacher at the high school, should I?
12, Crimson Bryant.
So do you want to tutor me?
I don't know.
I might need some help. Again, y'all stay on me about this this view. We have so much going on. I'm trying to keep up with stats and call the game. I don't want to forget that. Obviously, now that y'all can see, you don't have to look at our faces anymore. So it is important. I want y'all to have the best view that you can.
I will say that is a blessing now that I'm on this mic. No one wants to look at my face.
That's how I feel every single game. I'm like, I know y'all don't want to see my face. I get it. I also don't want to see my face. I know we'd all much rather be watching the game. Big swing and a miss there from Crimson. 1-1.
I will say this is the 2nd time we've had this exact lineup to start off the inning.
It is.
And that's
is it in back-to-back, or was that the top of the 2nd?
I think it was the 2nd. And this is a scary, scary lineup to have to start off an inning.
Oh, absolutely. Oh, because we had that same conversation. Sends that one hard on the ground at short field. It clean leads throw. Quick just a 3-pitch first at bat here to start the top of the fourth, and that'll bring up Paris Pickett. Again, Paris, 2 for 2, 2 RBI, 2 runs scored, the single and the home run. Okay, we joked earlier had Reese had the single and the double. A single and a home run. If we're on cycle watch, a double and then the triple. Triple's always tough, but a double's very doable.
But I will say Paris has the capability to do that.
Especially you send it into this the gap in the right center.
Mm-hmm.
See if she can't go 3 for 3 now. Good take. Could be 1-0, just a bit high. I'm going to save this conversation for later, in between innings, give you time to think about it. But curious what your approach was or would be as a hitter? Because I had a very specific one. As she sends that one into left, 3 for 3, Paris Pickett. Have yourself a night, kid. 2 singles, and of course the home run.
Kind of going back to what we talked about not letting off the gas, as we've seen so far after that first inning where it seemed like we couldn't miss. We're now almost getting back to the game 1 where we're getting hard hits, just the wrong spots.
True.
This is why we've only put up 1 run in the last 2 innings.
True. And I know that's how you started the conversation, but you're 1,000% right. That's why you never take your foot off the gas. Thank you, Corey. Smallwood sends that one into center. Second out of the inning. That'll bring up Nicole Higgins. Higgins also 2 for 2 on the night with a run scored. She'll be looking to go 3 for 3. That looks so much better. Thank you, Corey. I compliment Corey every single chance I get, but for real. I mean, he just constantly bailing us out.
Corey Hankins is just a beast. He is just so good at everything that he does.
For those of you who maybe don't know our work quite that well, and you're asking, well, who is Corey? What does Corey do? All of our, not all of, but a lot of our highlights that you can find on Chad's Media, on the YouTube, but of course, if you follow us on TikTok and Instagram, he does an amazing job with those reels and everything.
Oh, those reels are absolutely amazing with everything that he puts into those, so just spot on work.
For anyone that was wondering where, we did not do a full highlight video from game 1. It's going to be from the entire series, but he did get a reel out from that. DeWano to Higgins sent up the middle. It does get through. She will also be 3 for 3 here tonight.
That's back-to-back hard hit balls right up the center.
It is. Now, I do want to mention, that brings up Velasquez. Velasquez in game 1, she was the one that had the 2-run single to get things started. Wouldn't be surprised if we don't see something similar tonight. She's 0 for 2 tonight, but might be
this is another one. This is another one. As a sophomore, she had a huge learning curve last year as a freshman going that deep into the playoffs. So as a sophomore, she's taking the next step. I'm very excited to see what she does.
Dude, I think, you mentioned that. This team really does have the perfect mix of – she sends that one deep into left field at the wall, and it is caught. Wow. Great hit from Velasquez there that will end the inning, and that is back-to-back innings now for the Lady Cats in which they didn't score a run, but, of course, they were definitely in scoring opportunity there, leaving runners on first and second.
That, and also, like we talked about, those hard hit balls just in just the slightly wrong spots. That's why we had a lot of game 1, and we're seeing that over the last 2 innings for us. A lot of hard hit balls just not falling in those gaps like they did in the first inning for us.
I agree. Again, mentioning all of our sponsors here tonight, and we can't thank each and every single one of you enough for making this possible. You look at what the broadcast looks like right now, and I know obviously I'm biased. I'm the one doing it, but just look at, we've got the sponsors and the scoreboard. It looks so much better, and we couldn't do that without each and every one of you. So again, Chick-fil-A, Double M Contractors, asphalt maintenance and repair for business or home. Again, thank you so much to both Mark and Mason Morton. Been in business since 2008. And again, 2 former Wildcats and relation to, like we said, senior shortstop Paris Pickett.
And I think,
who is having herself a night.
Yeah, and I think a part of Hopkins County Abstract, you have Jared Pickett, which is the dad of Paris Pickett. So you have a lot of supporters of Paris Pickett giving back, and that's amazing to see. Like we talked about with the Sulphur Springs community, they love rallying and supporting their athletes, their kids, whether it's their kids or just adoptive kids. It's their community adopted kids when they're out here. So it's absolutely amazing the support that they give everybody.
I have to say, I know I'm supposed to be professional and neutral to everyone, but I am also a Paris Pickett supporter.
She is a phenomenal student athlete, and I say student athlete because she is good on the field and she's good off the field. She's good in the classroom. She has a great head on her shoulders. She has a very kind heart. Just a very well-rounded individual that I'm very excited to see where the future takes her.
I do have beef with her for one reason, though. I do. She was sitting. I was getting ready in the press box before game 1 on Wednesday, and this was well before the game, like an hour and a half before it started. And of course, they're playing music over the speakers as they're warming up and everything. And she was playing it off of her phone, and she kept playing songs from like when I was in like 6th or 7th grade. And I was like, Paris, you're making me feel 1,000 years old right now. That would have been like us listening to like 90s music when we were that age, probably.
Yeah.
Which I was doing. So.
Well, heck, I mean,
I'm still listening to it now. So.
I said, heck, whenever I was that age, I was also listening to 70s and 80s.
See, okay, I'm the same way.
I've always joked that I was born in the wrong era.
I'm the exact same way.
70s and 80s classic rock, AC/DC, Journey, all them.
See, for
That's
me,
what
it was less classic rock, and it was more like Earth, Wind & Fire, Hall & Oates,
yeah.
like that kind of thing.
I got you.
2-0 count here to start the inning, and that one's fouled back. Shout out to Ryan Humphreys in the chat. Said, let's go, Lady Cats. Ryan Humphreys, if there's anyone who is a supporter of all things Sulphur Springs, it is that man.
He is definitely. He definitely doesn't mind coming back and giving back to the SS.
A former
community.
Wildcat great himself. Did a little bit of all of it. QB1, was a great baseball player as well.
Mm-hmm.
He told me he was good at track, but I don't believe him. That doesn't sound like. I can't imagine Ryan being good at something.
No.
Doesn't sound right. 2-1. Great pitch. Can make it 2-2.
This is what we talked about. There's very few times that she gets behind in the count, but she started off 2-0 and now it's 2-2. So she always is able to turn on that switch and knows when to bear down and not let a batter get away from her.
Dude, she has been living on those outside corners of the plate almost as if she's bought real estate there. Speaking of, that's a bad segue. I'm gonna try that again later. The 2-2. And there's strike 3. Living on the outside corners like she's bought real estate there. Speaking of, did you know that buyers and sellers can choose the title company they want for closing real estate transactions? Choose Hopkins County Abstract, the only locally owned and operated title company in Hopkins County. Segue.
There you go.
Strikeout number 4?
I believe that was
Yes.
number 4 now.
Strikeout number 4. And that brings up Whitehouse's pitcher, Grace Ann McDonald. She fouls that one back. I do have to say, I feel like the score and even the amount of hits that Sulphur Springs has not quite a great indicator of how well she's pitched because she is pitching well.
Well, you already mentioned it earlier. Like all those pitches that we said almost there, just outside, just off. As a behind the plate ump, those could go either way. Like that one right there.
Where did that one miss?
That's what I'm saying. Like that one right there. I mean, you could easily throw 7, 8, 9 more pitches into the strike column.
Right
now.
Oh, absolutely. And so many of those were with 2 strikes. The 1-1. We mentioned Paris's not Paris, but Crimson rather, her mentality just a second ago on a pitch that she would have liked for her to go her way. A lot of pitchers kind of show emotion. There's none. All she did was like, okay, next pitch. I've got to throw another one anyway.
I say she might give a little long stare to the ump, like, show me where that missed. But there's nothing outwardly or vocally that she does differently.
And, you asked me earlier what if an umpire does this or that. If a pitcher starts showing you up, then you do.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Just like a batter.
Right.
If a batter, we've seen that countless times in ball games, where it might be a 3-1 count, and a pitcher or a batter thinks that it's outside or it's a ball. If they take that early step, that ump is a little bit more inclined to say no, come back over here. That's gonna be a strike.
That's for me to decide. I will say, when I was playing, I didn't mind asking umps like, where'd that one miss? But you do have to know, if you're gonna say something like that, you might want to just be aggressive. You might want to swing.
So you also. You got to be very careful of the tone in which you ask it, because if you just turn and go, where did that miss? They could take that.
Right.
If you just like, hey, where'd that miss?
Right.
Kind of like be a little bit more nonchalant about it instead of just being direct. They might be a little bit more understanding.
Count 3-1. One out, nobody on. That one's sent on the ground over to short. Backhanded by Pickett. Tries to get over to first in time. The throw may have been in time. Of course, Reagan had to come off the bag. I realize y'all can't see that on our screen. The throw was just a little bit off. She may have beaten that one out either way, though. I can't really tell. That was going to be close.
It was going to be very close. That was going to be a hard play with the shortstop going backhanded away from the first base bag. That's hard to get your body squared back up and make that throw, which is why it was a little bit off. And
I don't, even though the throw was offline, I'm not sure that one's going to be ruled in error. That may be ruled in infield single. I think if I were the scorer, I might rule that as
if I'm the scorer, I'm rolling that a base hit every time because of that aspect of what we just talked about, in that it was a hard hit ball pulling her away. Now, if it was pulling her towards second, which is pulling her towards first, then maybe. But with it pulling her towards left field, and because it was deep in the pocket.
Right. That's a tough throw to make. Crimson falls behind in the count 2-0. So that's 2 batters in a row we've seen that, falling behind just a little bit.
Mm-hmm. I say, but like we talked about all night, she has that switch that she can easily just flip at any given moment, and I think we're about to see it right here.
Think so?
I think so.
1 out and a runner on first, and you're at the 5, 6, 7 part of the lineup for Whitehouse. And I agree with you. I think Crimson realizes that. It's like, okay, maybe it's time for me to shut this down real quick. She gets a swing and a miss.
There it is. Like I said,
Jeremy, I'm not saying that you're great with the predictions, but you're good, very like Tony Romo-esque with the predictions.
Hey, I mean, if I can make Tony Romo-esque money, then that'd be awesome.
Chad, I don't know if you're watching. The 2-1. That one's sent in the air. Velasquez trying to find it, unable to do so. It's going to be ruled foul.
I say, I don't know if the mics were able to pick that up, but Dorner made a good point right there. With this wind kind of picking up and it's throwing that ball around, it's hard for a catcher to throw off that mask and be able to locate that ball with it moving around that much. Someone's got to call her off that has a little bit better eyesight on that, whether it be Crimson, Addison, Reese, anybody like that's crashing down. They got to call her off.
Even without the wind, that's always a tough play for a catcher to make. That one misses high. The throw back to first, she will be back in time, though. Yeah, especially the ones, anytime a catcher is having to find it's tough, but the one that's sent directly up, that's tough.
I say, we saw with that hit, it was in the batter's box where it hit. So, like you said, it goes straight up, and usually it doesn't happen that way. You have a little bit of a movement out away from where you're standing, but to take off that mask and try and locate it straight up above you, that's hard.
And the 3-2 misses, I think, just a bit high. Could have been a bit outside as well. Of course, it's tough from our angle, but either way, it is another walk, putting runners on first and second with just 1 out.
Now batting number 4, Larkin Jones.
And here is Larkin Jones.
And if I'm not mistaken, this is kind of the same situation that Crimson was in to end the game in Game 1.
It is the exact same
Had
situation.
runners on first and second, 1 out.
And I believe it was even Larkin Jones that was batting. She tries to get a bunt down, unable to do so, foul.
Now,
she was the batter in that situation that you're speaking of.
And when you were talking earlier about the bunt situation, I feel like this is a perfect bunt situation because there's so many moving parts. And if you're able to lay down a perfect bunt, you could potentially have bases loaded with 1 out.
I agree. I think I may have waited a little deeper into that bat. I would have probably taken a pitch first, maybe, especially because you've seen Crimson falling behind these last couple of at-bats. Maybe get her to, if you can get it 1-0, 2-0 count, then do it.
But I agree.
Since that went on the ground over short, and Pickett not able to make the play, that was tough. You had the runner right there, pretty much even with you as you're trying to make that play. That's tough.
And that's hard. Because as a player, you're saying, give me my space to make that play, but at the same time, as a fielder, the base runner has a right to their base path, and that's where it is difficult, and that goes back to how much different turf is. You saw how that bounced up on her very quickly.
Yep.
And you got to be able to judge those bounces, and if you don't, it could cost you.
Fouls that one back, so the bases will be loaded with 1 out. To the point you're making, Even though it was hit directly in front of her, she tried to backhand it, and I think it's because of the turf. I think if it wouldn't have been turf, she would have forehanded that like normal instead of trying to make the backhand.
I say she would. I honestly think if we would have been playing in Sulphur Springs, she would have actually come on the pitcher side of the runner,
I agree.
like you said, and scooped it where she's on the run and get the runner out at first. But since it's turf and it took such a hard first bounce, she had to be back on it.
And I will say, we've got another Larkin shout out in the chat, and she's having a great night tonight. Her first at bat, she flew out, but it was really, really hard contact. And of course, single or reach on an error there to load the bases. Sharon from Waco. Awesome. Thank y'all so much for tuning in. That one misses just outside. Counts 1-2. 1 out and the bases loaded. We love to see it. I mean, I always, you don't think about it. Of course, it's a Sulphur Springs broadcast, but we always, have viewers from both sides, and not only someone cheering for the other team, but doing so from Waco. We love to see it.
Oh, yes, definitely.
One misses just a bit high, so the count's going to be 2-2. Pitch count was pretty low for Crimson. It's starting to creep up there a little bit. This next pitch will be her 75th on the night.
I'm saying this is definitely, I think, out of both games, this is probably her biggest test so far.
Absolutely.
In the circle.
That one sent directly back. Jeremy, earlier you made the prediction about her locking in, taking it to that next level. You getting that vibe right now?
I mean, I don't want to sound hesitant because I love Crimson in that circle. I would bet any amount of money that she keeps the scoring low on us. Right now, I'm not so sure, just because I wonder if in the back of her mind she knows that we have 9 runs as a cushion.
You know what? I went to make the same comment as she fouls. Another one back. Count will stay 2-2. If this were a 1-0, 2-0, 3-0 game, maybe. I think if that were the case, you would have answered yes. She is about to.
Yes.
Yeah.
100%. I think if we cut our first inning runs down even half, I think if it's even 5-0, I think she still kind of bears down. But I think that 9-0 cushion.
And again, staying alive. What a great at bat we're seeing here.
But yeah, I think that 9-0 cushion is definitely in the back of her mind. But she has the capability to just wipe that clean out of her head right now, and just go after this batter.
And I do want to give a credit to Lainey Crawford here. Great at bat she's having as she fouls yet another one off. Something that we haven't seen a lot of these batters be able to do. I mean, again, Crimson struck out 16 last game. She's got, 4 or 5 here tonight. So you're looking at 21 strikeouts through 11 innings of work. And what Crawford's able to do right now, just staying alive, getting that pitch count up. I mean, great at bat from her. And again,
that one right there is what we talked about earlier, though. In a 2-strike situation, if you feel like it could be close, you're swinging. And that one probably would have been taken as a ball, but she didn't want to chance it and just put the barrel on the bat.
I think a couple of these that she's fouled off probably could have been, but like you said, I mean, especially in this situation, you've got the bases loaded. This is the best chance you've had to score all night. Being aggressive, and she fouls.
What is that? Is that 6 straight foul balls?
It is. That was number 6, yeah.
Goodness.
Not 6 foul balls this at bat, 6 consecutive.
Yeah, that's the thing.
6
straight
consecutive
foul balls.
Will it be number 7? Nope, misses hot.
And this is where it can start waning on the pitcher. When you're getting into that double-digit pitches, and you're just like, I don't know what else I can do to get you out.
What can I do?
Where do I need to put this ball to get you out?
And the 3-2. Swing and a miss, strike 3. An amazing at bat from both Crimson and Lainey Crawford there.
And whichever one won that bat, that was the switch flip.
Yep, 100%.
If Lainey gets on base there, then I feel like Crimson gets a little bit down. But
absolutely.
With her getting that strikeout now, that flip switched.
Strikeout number 5 on the night for Crimson, and I agree. Again, I know I just said it, but an amazing at bat from both Crimson and Lainey Crawford there.
The fight from both of them was fun to watch. Never gave up at the at bat. So all credit to Lainey right there.
Did not feel like an at bat you see late in a 9-0 ball game. It felt like an at bat you see in a 1-run ball game.
Yes.
using that momentum. There is another swing and a miss.
That's what I was saying. I think whoever won that bat was going to have that kind of momentum carry on. And now and also the way that Crimson did it. It wasn't a ground out. It wasn't a fly out. It was a strikeout.
Right.
And that kind of helped her ride this momentum into this batter.
I think so. There you go. Strike 2. Yeah. You were spot on with that one. This is what we pay Jeremy the big bucks for this kind of not only prediction but analysis, all of it. Again, dude, I'm going to tell you this about 1,000 times throughout the course of the night, but thank you so much for helping me out here tonight, man.
I feel honored.
Three pitches, 3 strikes. And that is strikeout number 6 for Crimson Bryant. Through 4 innings of work. Just the 1 hit, 2 walks, and now 6 strikeouts. The strikeouts have now doubled the walks and hits.
Yep. But yeah, no, that's what I was thinking. That's why I was hesitant to say whether she was going to flip the switch or not. She needed that spark. She needed a spark in that at bat. She needed a spark when she was in that circle. Yes, her pitch count went up a lot just in that one at bat with Laney, but to be able to win that with a strikeout, that propelled her to have a 3-pitch strikeout in the next at bat and get us out of the inning with bases loaded. I
agree, and obviously I'm not the one throwing the pitches, but I think you take that trade-off there. I think that at bat to win it. To win it the way you did, not only with a strikeout, but after 6 consecutive fouls. I think not only you mentioned that flipping the switch, that wasn't just for the remainder of the inning. I think that's going to be what this game is for the rest of the night.
I think that's what she needed, almost as like a wake up call. Yes, you're up 9-0, but you can easily let them back into it with a couple bad pitches, a couple bad rotations through the lineup, and I think she kind of felt that with having 1 out, bases loaded, a deep at-bat with a hard fighting batter, and to win it with a strikeout, I think that's going to propel her for the rest of the game.
We head into the top of the 5th. Lady Cats have 9 runs on 14 hits here, Jeremy. Whitehouse, no runs. Do you know how many hits? Or I just said it a second ago, so I don't have to quiz you.
Honestly,
1.
I would not have been. I don't think I would have been able to guess the amount of hits that we've had. I knew it was a lot, but I would have. In all honesty, I probably would have guessed maybe 12.
See, I was just about to say I would have guessed 12.
I would have guessed 12.
14. And I do want to say this top of the 5th brought to you by Hopkins County Abstract. I know I did my segue earlier. This will not be a segue. Let me read it to you completely so y'all can actually hear it this time. They're the new owners. They've just taken over here in January, actually. Buyers and sellers can choose the title company they want for closing real estate transactions. Choose Hopkins County Abstract, the only locally owned and operated title company in Hopkins County. Like we said, locally owned. Kristen Monk, and then, of course, we mentioned Jared Pickett as well. Some more Paris Pickett relation here tonight. Mm-hmm. Kristen herself, though, was a Sulphur Springs grad, and I know we mentioned this earlier, but both a softball player and a cheerleader. Brings up Tia Nash, and then, of course, Harper and Reagan right behind her.
And in my opinion, I think this is another very scary 1-2-3 to start off an inning. Tia has power and speed. Jaden has power and speed. Reese has power, and so it's looking pretty nice.
Yeah, no, I will say Tia. I mentioned this on the during Wednesday night broadcast, but she didn't get a ton at bats early, or ton of at bats early in the season. But she was super efficient with the ones that she did get, and it was a player I was hoping to see get more and more at bats throughout the course of the season. And to have her, as you were mentioning, in the 9-hole, it's just an I mean, I'm trying to think of how many other 9-hole hitters are out there that are as good as Tia.
And that's the thing, that's where this team is so scary. From 1 through 9, any of them can do anything at any given point.
There really is not a weak point in this lineup. Tia takes. It's going to be 3-1, putting herself in a great hitter's count to open up this top of the 5th. She's 1 for 2 tonight. She has 2 runs batted in and 1 run scored.
I think, tell me if I'm wrong here, does everybody have a hit except for Addison tonight?
And Velasquez.
And Velasquez, okay. There's what we talked about earlier. That early step, trying to, in a way, without really meaning to, show up the ump. They're going to go, no, come back here.
And, of course, it doesn't help that it's a 9-0 ball game.
Exactly, yes.
But like you said, not meaning to, obviously.
Yes, exactly. It's one of those subconscious things that we talked about.
You thought it was a ball. It's ball 4. That's what you do on ball 4.
Yep.
So the 3-2. She sends that one into center. Will it get down? It does. It's going to be her second hit of the night, making her 2 for 3. Like I said, 2 runs batted in and 1 run scored. She might get a second run scored here. And it's second back to the top of the order. Jaden Harper, 2 for 3 tonight herself.
That looked a little off the hands in a way. Just kind of like muscled it out there to center field. That kind of shows you the power that she has too.
Right.
A pitch gets in and she gets on the hands a little bit.
And
she's still able to push it out there to center
And I will
field.
say it worked in her favor that time. If she gets it a little better on the bat, that's probably a lineup.
Yeah. Oh.
Jaden tries to get a bunt down, not able to do so.
That goes back to your point of let the pitcher throw a couple. Wait till it's a little bit deeper into the count maybe before you try that bunt, because you just give that pitcher a one pitch at bat out.
Now, for anyone wondering why the Lady Cats may be bunting in that situation, especially with a hitter like Jaden who's 2 for 3 tonight, looking for that 10th run. If you can get that here, you can put this game away here in the bottom of the inning. And of course, that'll put a runner on second base with either no outs or 1 out, depending on if you beat the throw.
I was just about to say that if it's not perfectly placed, but if it's a good placed bunt, then Jaden has the speed to be able to beat out the throw, and you have a runner on first and second with Reese coming up with no outs.
And a very hard hit ball by Reagan. That does get into the gap. It's going to be a double for her. Will Nash try to score? No, they're going to hold her up at third.
That was a good hold. At first, Carrillo looked like he wanted to send her, but after he saw where that ball was coming in at second to the second base position right there, he decided to hold her up, and I think that was a very, very smart decision on his part.
Now, I know you have Addison in the home run derby, but I'm putting in my call now. She has hit the ball very hard every at-bat this series. Here's a chance with runners on.
Don't be taking my pick now. Don't be taking my pick. Don't try and piggyback there.
You're right. You're right. No, I have a feeling she will be bringing at least one of these runs, if not both.
So I think she at least gets it into the outfield and Tia scores. If the pitcher gives her something to hit.
Yes, of course. If she walks, then all of that's out the window. Yeah.
I say if the pitcher gives her something to hit, I think she will score at least Tia Nash here.
I agree with you here. 1-0 the count, 1 out. Runners on second and third, and of course Crimson Bryant on deck. And that one does get through. That does score 1. Reagan going to try to score as well. Play at the plate. And they call her out, but Cadell able to advance to second after making great contact up the middle every at-bat this series. That one finally getting through for an RBI.
And that's what we talked about just in that last half inning where she was at bat. She's always had those throughout the series. She's had those hard hit balls. Just hasn't been able to get that one break. And there it is. I think the floodgates are going to open for her now.
I agree. Unfortunately, not unfortunately, but that depending on what happens here in the bottom, this could have been her last at bat this series. But of course, you take that momentum. And Bryant sends that one hard into center field. Cadell's going to try to come in and score another play to play. Great throw. Is it in time? She's safe. She's safe. It was a great throw from the center fielder, but Cadell read it very well off the bat, comes in and scores. That makes it 11-0 Lady Cat lead. Crimson Bryant helping herself out there.
Yeah, and that just goes back to what we talked about. The IQ of some of these players is absolutely phenomenal. Right there, Addison knew it was going to be a tight play. Mm-hmm. She knew where to slide because of where the catcher positioned herself. The throw was going to have to be perfect for her to be able to get tagged out.
And it almost was. I know I've said this twice now, but an excellent throw.
It was a very, very good relay. And what just happened there, sorry, as we were talking, the Whitehouse coach asked for a review. And so the umps got together and they declared that Addison was safe indeed.
Do you think we're going to go to the replay in New York? They want replay, I guess.
I mean, we got it right here. I mean, well,
yeah, that's a tough position to put an umpire in because, like, you know.
Well, I was going to mention a few years back when we needed it against Hallsville.
Oh yeah.
And then also last year
That one gets down. No one's there to cover first. And that is, I don't know if that's going to be rolled a single or an error, but
Well,
could go either way. The only problem with it being a single is there was no one covering first. That would be the error of it all.
yeah. At the same time, though, I think what another way that you could rule out a hit is there was no one in the vicinity of that ball.
I agree, and it is a single for Paris Pickett is how that will be ruled.
Because I hate saying it this way, but we see the contrast of what the infields just did. We've seen our infield play a certain play to the book. Right there, that was a little bit not so much, and which I think what allowed Paris to be able to get that hit.
Which, I mean, it was just put in a really tough place. That was hard for Butch to do. Smallwood sends that one hard into center. One of the hardest hit balls we've seen all night. But again, we've seen the Whitehouse center fielder not only have an incredible throw earlier, but making a good play there. We head into the bottom of the fifth. Lady Cats lead 11-0 with a chance to put it away. Jeremy, I'm going to ask you about that in just 1 second, but we have to mention all of our sponsors. Again, we thank each and every single one of them so much, but we want to mention specifically this bottom of the fifth, which will be brought to you by Madison Insurance Agency, your hometown insurance agency. Family owned and operated by Glenn and Matthew Madison. They have locations in Sulphur Springs, Paris, and Greenville. Like we said, been in business for 20 years. They specialize in home, auto, and business, but can insure absolutely anything. Again, Matthew, a Wildcat baseball player from 1997 to 2000. Now, Jeremy, I have to ask you, an 11-0 lead as you head into the bottom of the fifth. For anyone that doesn't know, if you allow less than 2 runs here, that would be the ball game. That would do it for the series. We saw Crimson really getting into a stride a second ago. You think that carries in, that she puts it away here?
I think so. I mean, if you look at her in the circle right now, she just scooched around with Anna E back there behind the plate a little bit, but right before that, she looks very locked in, and that's what I'm sure they're talking about right now. They're keeping it light and loose just to not let nerves get to them right now. But I think she's going to ride that momentum of that long at bat that she won with a strikeout, that 3-pitch strikeout that she had, the hard hit ball up the center field to score Addison Goodell to put it up 11-0 to give herself another little cushion. I almost want to say it's going to be a 3-up, 3-down.
I'll take it a step further if you want it.
What?
I think she strikes out the side.
Okay.
So far tonight, 4 innings pitched, just the 1 hit allowed. She's walked 2 and struck out 6. So twice as many strikeouts as walks and hits. And, of course, that is a whip of still less than 1.
And that's perfect. That is absolutely perfect.
And that brings up the Whitehouse center fielder. Like we said, saw a couple of excellent plays from her in the field in the top of the inning. She takes strike 1 there.
Also a good start on striking off the side.
Still on pace for an immaculate inning.
Yes. That would be something.
And as a Mavs fan, anytime I get to use the word immaculate, the vibes.
Oh, yeah.
The vibes are immaculate. Tries to get the bunt down, and she does. Fielded by Bryant. Throw over to second, but it is a bad throw. The 2 runners. So we're going to take a second here.
There was a collision at first.
And that is tough, of course. You know, if you're the runner, you're going straight. But the second baseman, the throw was a little high. You had to go for it.
Yeah.
Not really much either one could do there.
No.
Of course, we are taking a moment for the runner who is down. And she'll get a round of applause as she's helped up. Going to try to walk it off. I will say that is a very well-placed bunt by her.
It definitely was. Just a slightly high throw from Crimson there. And unfortunately, as the defense, I mean, you're definitely going to try and make a play on that no matter
Right.
what. So,
You know, especially like you said, it was high, so she had to jump. Once you've left the air, I mean, once you've left the ground, there's nothing that you can really do at that point. You know?
At that point, anything can happen, and unfortunately, that's what we did see here.
Right.
And I think the umps right now are trying to discuss if that was possibly runner interference, since the throw was high and it got away, and to see if she was able to take second or not.
Yes. Now, initially they did not rule that as the case as it was happening. Of course, like you mentioned, they are talking it over now.
Now it looks like they're just going to give her first, and they're not going to give her second.
Now batting number 1.
And that brings us back to the top of the order for Whitehouse. Brings up Katie Jones. Jones 0 for 2 today, but no strikeouts. She has been putting the ball in play. Katie Jones is second baseman for Whitehouse. And again, we saw her a left-handed slap hitter, but making really good contact. She shows bunt, pulls back, but it is a called strike 1. And again, Crimson going to be trying to get out of this inning unscathed as possible to put this series away as the Lady Cats lead 11-0. Needs just 3 more outs to do so. And again, strike 2. Well, there does go my prediction on that. It would be, she could still strike out 3, but just not in order.
I said there was my prediction of 3 up, 3 down.
You know what? Everyone's wrong sometimes, Jeremy. I do want to say, we seeing the view count here tonight, ladies and gentlemen. Thank y'all so much for hanging out with us. And those of you that have been active in the chat, we appreciate that as well. But we've had a ton of fun. I don't want to speak for both of us, but I've had a ton of fun doing this.
I've definitely had a ton of fun. I going back to when you said thanks for being on here. Thanks for having me on here. It's been a lot of fun.
It really has. The 1-2. Sends that one on the ground to third. Cadell not quite able to get to it. Pickett does, but both runners going to be safe. That's going to be an infield single. So no outs. Runners on first and second for Whitehouse as that brings up the 2-hole hitter.
Now batting number 8, Avery Taylor.
Avery Taylor 0 for 1 today. She did draw a walk earlier, though. She has a walk and a strikeout. And I wouldn't be surprised if we don't see Whitehouse lay down another bunt. They've been trying that a lot, and they've been decent at it.
Mm-hmm.
And on cue, shows bunt, but fouls that one back.
I said that they're playing the definition of small ball right now. They're trying just to, like you said. I mean, if they don't score 2 runs or more, then they're going
This is
home.
your season, yeah.
So I mean, they're trying to do anything they can. They got 2 runners on, no outs. This is probably one of the better positions they've been in all night.
Yeah, if you could get the bunt down, even if that means sacrificing an out, you need 2 runs this inning, and that puts your 2 runners in scoring position.
And both these runners are very quick.
Right. She's going to try again, but she pulls back, and that is a called strike. Great pitch from Crimson there because it's kind of high and in. That's a very tough pitch to get a bunt down on.
Mm-hmm. And now this kind of takes the bunt away.
Mm-hmm. With 2 strikes, it's you still could attempt it, but it becomes very risky.
Yes. So it almost.
I would imagine that she's not going to.
Yeah, I would imagine a swing away here.
That one misses high, 1-2. I like that, trying for the high part of the zone again, though.
Mm-hmm. Trying to jam her to where she can't get that barrel of the bat squared up.
Also, avoiding any low pitches to just eliminate the possibility of something getting past you.
Mm-hmm.
The 1-2. That one's fouled back.
And staying high like
Out
we
of play.
talked about. Staying high.
Going high and in a lot here. Wonder if might see something outside.
Honestly,
You think you stay attacking the way she is?
I think staying attacking because she's not really been able to get good pieces of the ball. She's barely getting it. And one of these times she very well could swing under it.
You're right.
And that could be a strikeout right there.
Very well could. Again, the 1-2 pitch. Misses just high. That one may have been a little bit out. Again, from our angle, it's kind of tough to see sometimes.
Yeah, same. From our angle, it looked like Anai was reaching out, so it did look like she might have been a little bit high and out.
2 to the count. No outs. Runners on. First, second. Swing and a miss. Strike 3. It's going to be number 7, I believe, on the night for Crimson. She needs 2 more outs to get out of this game. Not only get out of this game, get out of the series.
It is crazy how quickly those strikeouts can rack up for Crimson. Let's say we started off pretty slow on the strikeout numbers, but they've quickly climbed.
And, you know, on a night for pretty much any other pitcher, 7 strikeouts. It's like, hey, I was on. I was doing my thing. Brings up Grace Owen. She's 0 for 2 tonight with 1 strikeout. Again, just the 1 hit in the Whitehouse lineup came from O'Brien. Over the course of almost 12 innings now, Crimson Bryant has allowed 2 hits in this series.
That is some phenomenal pitching. And like you mentioned in game 1, when you have a pitcher like Crimson that typically averages double-digit strikeouts, 7 is, to her, almost like a down night.
Right. When for almost anyone else, it would be like, dude, I had 7 strikeouts. I was doing my thing. That's a strikeout per inning. Well, not even. In this game, you've thrown 4 in 1/3 inning.
Yep.
So that's almost 2 strikeouts per inning.
She's a special person to put in that circle.
She is, as the kids would say today, she's different.
Very.
I don't know if kids say that. Maybe that's I don't know.
It's our cool talk.
They'll let us know. The 1-1. That one's fouled back. I'm in that weird in between where I'm like not quite. I would be a very young millennial, but I'm not a Gen Z, so like I don't know what the lingo is.
You're caught between both worlds.
Right. I understand it, but I don't speak it.
Yep.
That kind of thing.
Oh yeah.
And you being a teacher, I feel like right there.
I'm right there with you.
The 1-2. Foul back. Whitehouse, I have to say, has done a tremendous job once they do have 2 strikes on them, battling, staying alive.
We even saw that. Granted, she had 16 strikeouts in game 1, but
right,
they still did battle a little bit. I mean, it wasn't just like a lay down whenever they had 2 strikes. They still battled, and unfortunately, Crimson just got the better of them.
Right. Again, the 1-2. That one sent in the air towards third. Pickett's going to call off Cadell for the second out of the inning, and I actually like that a lot. I thought Cadell had a decent read on it, but Pickett realized, hey, I'm moving this direction. This is going to be easier for me, and they did a great job communicating with each other.
This goes back to what we talked about earlier in the game. That left side of the infield is probably one of the best in the state to have. And I know partially biased, but at the same time, I mean, those 2 right there, they have a connection, and they have a softball IQ that is par none.
Absolutely. To have 2 seniors there at third and short that have been playing together, that have made these postseason runs with each other. And what could be the final out or the final at bat of the season, it comes down to the pitcher from Whitehouse, Grace and McDonald.
This is kind of the position that you want to be in as a pitcher.
Absolutely.
And batter. Let the season be in my hands.
Right.
Let me dictate what happens here.
It's a lot like your best scorer having the ball for the final shot.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
She takes strike 2, so
1 strike away.
Sulphur Spring or Whitehouse rather, potentially down to their final strike. Crimson Bryant looking to pick up strikeout number 8.
If I had to guess here, I'm thinking Coach Joyner just put in a pitch call for the end.
You think so?
I think so.
The line and the pitch. That one misses high, hits the backstop. The runners do advance to second and third, which does make this trickier. Again, 1 run wouldn't do it. You need 2, but now both of those runners are in scoring position. So as much as a single or something that gets through the infield would probably extend this game into a 6th inning.
Mm-hmm. That looked like a little bit of a late release.
Oh, yeah?
To me. It looked like maybe just held on to it just a little too long and had that little high release.
We'll see if it comes back to bite her as she fouls that one off. 1-2. Goes back to that thing you keep mentioning. When she needs to flip that switch, a lot of the time she does. Now would be one of those moments.
Yes.
Granted, you do have a base open. You could walk McDonald now that you do have first base open, but ahead in the count 1-2, you want to go ahead and just Try to get her if you can.
I say if I'm the coaching staff, I'd say just go get her.
Absolutely. And again, staying alive. Whitehouse does not go down easy.
And we've been seeing that all night tonight, definitely, and that they just do not give up. And that goes to show the heart of the girls as well as the coaching staff to instill that kind of fight in these girls, that no matter what odds are, what they might be facing, that they're not going to give up.
Absolutely. Again, the 1-2. She sends that one into right field. It's pretty deep. Smallwood seems to have a read on it. She's under it, and that will do it by a final score of 11-0. Your Sulphur Springs Lady Cats are advancing to the area round of the playoffs. Great game from this team. Crimson Bryant goes to full 5 innings. She allows just 2 hits, 2 walks, 7 strikeouts. We will be doing some post-game interviews and everything, but I do want to talk about this with you, Jeremy. Lady Cats come out, they score 8 runs in the top of the first, just setting the tone from the beginning.
Oh, they did. I think that kind of that definitely knocked Whitehouse a little bit back on their heels a little bit. Coming out with that strong of a first punch definitely kind of sent them reeling a little bit. We could see that with the mound visit, with the players getting a mound visit. To everything in that top of the first, it was definitely very apparent that first punch was a big one for our Lady Cats.
Absolutely, and then they were just able to hold on for the remainder of the game. Again, we mentioned Crimson's stat line already on the mound. We want to say thank you so much to every single one of you that watched. It looks like we had a great turnout, and of course, y'all were active in the chat. But before we get out of here, one more time, we want to say thank you to each and every single one of our supporting sponsors. This wouldn't be possible if it weren't for y'all. Chick-fil-A, Double M Contractors, Hopkins County Abstract, and of course, Madison Insurance Agency. They will continue, hopefully, to support us throughout the remainder of this postseason. We clearly don't know the details on next round yet, but once we have those, frontporchnews.com, please. We will be, keeping y'all updated, and we'll be here, hopefully, for every pitch of the Lady Cat softball run. Again, I said let's run through some box scores very quickly. Looking at the hitting lineup, Jaden Harper, 2 for 4 tonight. She had an RBI and a run scored. It was another great game from her. Reese Reagan, 4 for 4. 4 for 4 from Reese Reagan.
Have yourself a night.
Her Paris Pickett also was 4 for 4, and of course had that solo shot. Had the home run, 2 RBIs, 2 runs scored. Addison Cadell, after hitting the ball very well this entire series, she finally got her first hit of the series, and I think we're going to see that continue or carry over into the next round. Crimson Bryant was not only great on the mound, but was great at the plate. She was 2 for 4 with an RBI. Ken Smallwood, 1 for 4. She had 2 RBIs and a run scored. Nicole Higgins was also perfect. She wasn't 4 for 4. She was 3 for 3. She was 3 for 3.
I say she just wasn't able to get that fourth at bat. I bet
right. She would have been 4 for 4.
She had two very hard hit balls right up the gut. Very, very well rounded team effort.
Yep.
So we saw a lot of hits, a lot of hard hits, a lot of great defensive plays, a lot of grit out of the circle from Crimson as well too, and just a phenomenal win to close this series out.
If you haven't seen it, and by the way, I didn't mention Tia Nash, also great game, 2 for 3, 2 RBIs and 2 runs scored. Lady Cats had 11 runs on. How many hits do you think? Before we get out of here.
What was it, about 17?
19.
Oh my goodness.
19 hits for the Lady Cats, and of course that's only through 5 innings. If that's a 7-inning game, they probably get over 20. Y'all, we are about to get out of here. Thank y'all so much for hanging out with us tonight. Like we said, we will be hopefully bringing you every pitch of Lady Cat softball. On behalf of everyone here at Chad's Media, I'm Tyler Lennon.
I'm Jeremy DeLorge.
Thank you so much for doing this with me. Hopefully we can get you back in here throughout the postseason.
Hey, if I'm able to, and you're able to have me, and you're willing to have me, I'm here.
Yes, sir. Y'all stay tuned right here on Chad's Media. We'll have, obviously, highlight videos of the series and some post-game interviews and everything. We've got all that and much more. Again, we will be seeing y'all hopefully when we have the details. We'll let you know next week. But until then, thank y'all so much.